Welcome everyone to the show. My name is James Anthony from the James Anthony Report. This is the James Anthony Report podcast. Right now we have posted at jamesanthonyreport.com the newest report titled Trump's Alien Disclosure: Secrets the Government is Hiding. This report centers around the latest UAP hearings in Congress, hearings that also took place last year, and these hearings which have been revealed by numerous credible whistleblowers that secret government retrieval programs of UAPs are and have been taking place. For those of you not familiar with that term, UAP stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, which at one time stood for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, which not too far back stood for Unidentified Flying Object, or UFOs. Now, nearly 10 full years after the Apollo moon landing of July 20th, 1969 by Buzz Aldrin, Command Pilot Michael Collins and Neil Armstrong, for which those famous words we all know, "one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," were uttered and forever changed the way the world saw space, came Jimmy Carter, the first U.S. president to make mention of aliens in the context of extraterrestrial life. Now, Carter, in the same year Kennedy sent men to the moon, claimed to have witnessed a UFO in his hometown of Leary, Georgia. As president, Carter never released any files the government had on UFOs, but as presidential candidate, had promised to do so. Just a year after Carter stepped into office in 1978, a British documentary based on the 1974 Bill Kaysing book titled "We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 Billion Swindle" began to take off as a legitimate conspiracy in capturing the zeitgeist of that era, with Kaysing's book having been credited as the first of its kind. As the current proxy war with Russia, one that began with a U.S.-sanctioned overthrow of the Ukrainian government years ago, spirals out of control and heads toward a potential nuclear conflict, one that many in the media say is inevitable, U.S. citizens are again talking about things like World War and the Doomsday Clock. Much like the term UFO, the Doomsday Clock, created after the use of nuclear weapons during World War II in 1947, and for the symbolic representation of just how close humanity is to destruction, has also been updated to include things like climate change and cybersecurity threats. Setting aside what any of us consider to be just pure political posturing by any and all sides of the current players involved in this current political situation, most of us continue to get up each day without engaging in anything more than fast food, sports, and cell phones, which at most and for most people serve as a diversion from reality. But for those of us who have entered into the Great Awakening era post-scamdemic, and who recognize that without Kennedy and his death, Kaysing's book, and the Carter era all the way through to the Clinton Chinese spy scandal that was covered up in the media by the Monica Lewinsky incident, that spirituality is more than just symbolism. That Donald Trump is a symptom of each of these decades. Spirituality coupled with moral obligation and guardrails become in fact what we know as religion. The phrase Great Awakening, without any context, conjures up religious iconography without prompting. And with churches in the US still seeing attendance issues from lockdown restrictions in 2020, all of this can become a bit confusing and perhaps a double-edged sword. For the typical Christian, it's difficult not to scoff at someone claiming to have heard the voice of God, and most trad Christians pay no attention to apocryphal text or uncanonized scripture, with that word itself originating from the Greek meaning hidden or secret. The Gospels of Thomas, Peter, Judas, and Enoch are examples that many Protestants do not consider to be divinely inspired in the Christian realm. While there are hints here and there throughout the Holy Bible of beings of light, and even outright mentions of the angels guarding Christ's tomb after his death described as beings of light, and the Magi following the North Star to the birthplace of Christ in Bethlehem, it's a wonder why anyone shies away from this to attribute what many people have called aliens to perhaps being spirits or these beings of light. Now, in 2014, a movie by Darren Aronofsky, one that Christians panned as blasphemous for legitimate reasons, was released and attempted, though, to fill in the gaps using extra and even non-biblical sources to show how Noah may have built the ark in the movie simply titled Noah. Dealing with guilt over their rebellion, the Watchers, these giant stone creatures found in the book of Enoch, are light beings trapped on Earth who taught humans forbidden knowledge and decided to help Noah in his divine quest. It is entirely possible that the book of Enoch was divinely inspired and passed down through oral tradition, only to have been written down much, much later. Many people have jokingly referred to Noah online as the first conspiracy theorist, someone who was warned and tried to show others by example what was coming, and when it finally did, he was heroically and somewhat tragically vindicated. Now, it shouldn't take a lot to see the parallels not only between what happened in the 1960s and Jimmy Carter's promises to that of 2024 and Donald Trump, who has essentially all but already declassified the JFK files and created a sixth branch of the U.S. military in the United States Space Force. And again, although it couldn't have taken much to see the future of a Biden presidency wreaking havoc on the economy and pretty much every other facet of daily life, still Trump warned people and was ridiculed for it. Now, this isn't to say that Trump should in any way be deified or directly compared to Noah, as there are pockets of supporters who believe he can do no wrong, and that is irresponsible to say the least. But his survival through each and everything leading up to the election this year is difficult probably for those of you not much even engaged to see that something about it was indeed miraculous. But I digress. The entire subject seems to lack creative or critical thinking from the standpoint that, as I show in the video, one of the main aspects of Space Force and why it was created was to establish outer space as a war-fighting domain. John Trump, Donald's uncle, worked as an engineer and physicist for the U.S. government under the National Defense and Research Agency during World War II, working on radar technology and closely with NASA for defense applications. Interesting to note, it was John Trump who studied Tesla's research papers after his death in 1943. And here we seem to have come full circle with Trump choosing the Tesla creator and space explorer himself to head the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency. Of course, it's Trump in his first term credited as the genesis of the Great Awakening that some are now calling false, with many people questioning recent cabinet picks and possible nuclear motives when it comes to the new Russian conflict. And it does remain to be seen whether Trump will indeed be a being of light or an agent of chaos. Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks for listening. Hope you check out that report. Give the James Anthony Report a follow and support our sponsors over at JamesAnthonyReport.com. Talk soon.
Go to JamesAnthonyReport.com or click the link in the description to support our sponsors. James Anthony Report was made possible by garbage-ass people like you. Thank you.